It's quoted by Chimamanda Adichie, "Stories matter, many stories matter. Stories have been used to dispossess and to malign, but stories can also be used to empower and to humanize. Stories can break the dignity of a people, but stories can also repair the broken dignity." Films and media in general shape how people see the world. If we see the same kind of story the same way over and over again, we start to view the world through these stories. So it is important to be aware of the messages, beliefs, and representations that are being perpetuated through media. The way that race, gender, and sexuality are depicted can lead us, as the viewer, to see real groups of people as they are shown in media. This can especially be a problem when the depiction of a certain group of people is largely negative, because these negative interpretations of these groups can often bleed into our perceptions of reality. We can see how these same group of people can be shown in dramatically different lights by examining the movies Dangerous Minds and Walkout, both of which revolve around an effort to improve conditions in a troubled urban high school.
First, let's look at Dangerous Minds. In this film, we see the group of students right away as disruptive, difficult, and dismissive of the teacher. In this film, the students know that the conditions of their school are a problem, but they don't make any efforts to change them, instead relying on a savior to come in and bring change for them. Here, the problems within the school are even blamed in no small part on the students. Let's check out this clip.
But there are a lot of people who live in your neighborhood who choose not to get on that bus. What do they choose to do? They choose to go out and sell drugs. They choose to go out and kill people. They choose to do a lot of other things, but they choose not to get on that bus. The people who choose to get on that bus, which are you, are the people who are saying, "I will not carry myself down to die. When I go to my grave, my head will be high." That is a choice. There are no victims in this classroom.
Luann Johnson claiming that there are no victims in the classroom translates to a belief that the problems that the students are facing are their own, that there is nothing unfair about the larger educational system, which, as we know, is far from the truth. The students in Walkout are represented in a very different light, despite being the same demographic. The student body as a whole is shown to be willing to be involved in their education. These students also take the initiative in trying to change their school by organizing a walkout. Get it? The problems in this school are shown to be caused far more by the system that they're in as opposed to the student population itself. Students are barred from the bathrooms, given janitorial duty as punishment, and are threatened with expulsion when they start to work for change. To bring the idea that the students are mistreated to a point, we have this clip.
For an immeasurable...
Bobby, Jesus, front and center.
What'd I do?
You spoke Spanish, you know the rules. Mr. Verdugo, you're first.
¿Duele?
Como un beso tapado.
So compared to the there are no victims idea from Dangerous Minds, it is clear in this film that there are victims in this classroom. These students are simply not being treated with the respect that is due to any human being.
All these examples bring us to the next question. So what? Dangerous Minds is a dominant narrative for the urban high school genre. This means that this is the kind of story that mostly makes it up. Just look at Freedom Riders, another one of the most popular urban high school movies. It is more or less the same exact movie, both in plot and representation. Movies are a reflection of both our society and what we think. Whether or not we admit it, we take a lot from what we see in movies into real life, so it can be harmful for a movie like Dangerous Minds to be seen in such more than a movie like Walkout, as it can reinforce negative stereotypes. Dangerous Minds shows a self-destructive group that needs someone to save them. The students in the school are unmotivated to improve their condition. More people see this dominant narrative, so their views of urban high schools are shaped by it. Dangerous Minds leads people into a more negative view of urban high school schools, a view that would break their dignity. Just think of the quote, "There are no victims in the classroom." They are victims of the system, but someone viewing this movie would not believe that, and it won't sympathize for them. The truth is, the problem is more like that shown in Walkout. It isn't the students that are the problem, it is the system. The students are self-motivated, and they work to better their school by fighting to improve the system on their own. Understanding the message in Walkout will lead to a much more sympathetical view for urban high school students, since it shows that children are not the problem. However, since it is a counter-narrative, the building of the dignity that it conveys will not reach nearly as many viewers as a dominant narrative would. This is how stories can give negative views on a group of people, resulting in false beliefs leading towards discrimination.